Hello and welcome to the show. We start this week's Failrace episode on GTA 5 with the flying bike. Now it is very powerful, although this particular one tried to use it as a ram, and well, they paid the price. They paid the price. Geriatric up next, also with the flying bike, so not only has a pedestrian managed to beat it, this time a lamppost. This time a lamppost has been, although the player comes off a bit better in this particular one, managing to essentially stand on top of a lamppost? I guess they spawn, but that's not quite... Managed to dismount the bike onto the top of a lamppost rather than being flung halfway across the map, so that is a slight bit of progress, at least. Matthew Bookfly up next on Cyberpunk. Now, they are calling in their car. I know what you're expecting to happen. I know what I was expecting to happen, having seen plenty of clips and played this game myself. Nope, this time Porsche is just straight through the floor. Didn't spin around, didn't get lost, didn't ping off into the abyss. Well, it did kind of, only it went down rather, yeah. Oh dear. Hercules and Mofo up next on the Crew 2. Now they are trying to complete the stunt jump or whatever they're called on this game. I forget, carrying plenty of speed across this at 200 mile an hour. They launched the car from the ramp. However, they managed to land perfectly between kind of the train part of the bridge and the road part of the bridge. They find a gap, the car slides down and is then stuck. Well, sort of stuck. It's not actually wedged in the side. No, in fact, it actually found the rare gravity bridge that is underneath the main bridge. Quite why we bother with all of this steel and so on when we can just have, you know, the gravity bridges. Was it gravity bridges from Halo? I think that's what they were called. Anyway, the Nissan has found it, and the Nissan is perfectly okay to drive on it. In fact, I guess the steel girders are they kind of stop you from wandering off the edge of the bridge. It's quite stuck, is what I'm going for here. Having managed to fall through. Yeah, that is a new way of traversing the environment. Well found. Anyway, we move right next to the long drive. Immortal Egg is going on relatively high speed with the truck. This is the newer the truck, the car transporter truck, essentially. And as they're going along, as things often do in the long drive, especially when you're going a little bit too fast, lose control, goes for a spin, physics gets a little bit unhappy, and the truck falls over. I mean, that, so far, I mean, it makes sense. So, player stuck on their side has to go and do something about all of this. It's a little bit of an awkward one, but, you know, you'll manage to climb your way out of it. As they do, turns out there's a rabbit right near them, so panic and jump on top of the vehicle. Sensible thing. I would do the same. Rabbit is actually one of those very rare helpful rabbits. Yes, it actually just flipped the truck onto its wheels. I mean, the truck's a bit warm and everything, but it's the first time I've ever seen a rabbit be helpful in that game. TD Lord up next on Jalopy has managed to... We don't quite see how the car ended up here, but it has got stuck. Having fallen off the road. Now, they're trying to rescue it. Their plan is to use the bonnet, opening the bonnet to try and free it. Actually, not a terrible idea, as, well, the game has to do something with the physics when the bonnet's open, and sure enough, it actually works relatively. It's weird and a bit janky, and the car jumps around, but it does kind of work. So, yeah, the car is in a little bit better position. It's still quite stuck in this kind of alleyway. They go for the other attempt at getting the car unstuck by opening the passenger door, and now we have a flying jalopy. It's quite the flight for this one. It's less stuck than it was. Still not great. Things have still gone quite badly wrong, but it is less stuck than it was, and the best thing is, with the way the game works and everything, they're able to fix the car up, so that they can actually go back to continuing their... So it works. They can continue their journey. I mean, it's a bit unconventional, but it turns out making the jalopy fly through the air is a legit way of getting it unstuck. Snake55 Wildcat is up next on Trailmakers with a mad vehicle. Now, I always like mad vehicles, always appreciate the effort of the random wild vehicles. And this one, you know, it's decently fast, not very easy to drive, and while I know the game can sometimes freak out, this is not what I was expecting. I actually hit over 1,000 kilometers an hour ejecting the I guess the capsule, like the driving capsule from this vehicle, and fired it up into the sky at a ridiculous speed. I mean, we did a stream on Trailmakers a little while ago, and the physics does sometimes freak out, but I've not seen it freak up that hard before. Railman is up next on BeamNG Drive. Now, they are playing around with the most wanted mod, you know, dealing with a police chase. By the looks of it, they've already had a fairly hefty crash and everything, and while they are trying to get going, trying to get away from the police, they manage to Austin Powers their car in between two police vehicles. We normally make a joke about the Failrace police department, but that was a poor attempt at getting away. Most effective use of police cars we've seen, in fact. SteelGuns is the final clip of the day on F1 2020. With Latifi getting confused. So, we don't quite know what happened to cause the Alpha to spin here. Something happened, it crashed either trying to get into the pit lane or had a crash through the chicane. Either way, it's not done either. It's stuck facing the wrong way, and the game does not quite know how to deal with this. It really doesn't have a clue how to deal with this, because it would be relatively easy. Look, there we go. That was almost in line with getting into the pit lane, and now it's well stopped, to say the least, with the whole, you know, getting in line with the pit lane. No, you're steering the wrong way. This just continues. I understand Formula 1 cars do not have the best turning circle in the world. Race cars often don't. But this should be a very easy thing for the AI to figure out. My best guess is that it's wanting to try and complete like an invisible checkpoint on the circuit to complete a lap, and also go in the pit lane at the same time, and it doesn't know which one is the right thing to do, so it's trying to do both and is causing issues. Actually, very helpfully got out of the way of an AI car, because that clip goes on for a very long time. The player then gets involved to see what happens. They try to push the Alpha into the pit lane, well, that just phases it out of existence, and they get a penalty for it, which isn't ideal. So we go to what happens if the player acts like the AI cars and comes to a stop. Well, they immediately get disqualified. Which is also far from ideal. So instead, I mean, the way you can kind of go, you can kind of wait for the Alfa Romeo to create a gap, and as long as you're still moving, you don't get a penalty for blocking the pit lane. You can kind of shuffle your way in. Or you could go for the big punt, in which case then the car just goes ethereal and then continues blocking everyone else. In fact, I think the cars blocked in the train were actually all disqualified from the session, but Latifi wasn't. Despite it was being the Alfa Romeo that was blocking it, it was only the cars that stopped waiting that got disqualified. I've seen some wacky stuff in Formula 1, but that is up there. That is up there amongst the wackiest of things. But there we go. That is going to be it for this video. As ever, if you have clips you'd like to submit to this series, you can via a Google form. There'll be a link to it in the description. All the rules and how it works can be found on there. That, though, is going to be it from me. Thank you all very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.